Heresy loves vacuums of the gospel. Okay? So if your brain is empty, it won't stay empty. Rubbish flows in fast. That's the nature of human history and the gospel. The moment your gospel is not monster size, the moment your gospel is not a mammoth filling until your brain, until it flows out of your ears and orifices. The moment is not like durian. That's why I love the durian so much, right? When you eat the queen of fruits, mangosteens, nothing happens to you. When you eat durians, everybody can tell. Everybody, the whole room, the moment you walk in, they're like, who ate durian? Who ate durian? Oh, you MK, huh? Wow. Rich, are you? Fingers, paws, everything. My wife complained so much on a honeymoon night because the whole bed sheet, everything. Finish, okay? That's us, Christians. The gospel is just overflow. There's hardly any space for heresy because the more the devil starts, give up, these CRC Christians. So much going on. Content, clarity. Clarity, lack of clarity is never filled with nothing. And the church too is like this. It needs to have every orifice, every potential space in mind, heart, and soul filled with the grace of our Lord, 1 Timothy 1:14, that overflowed. This word is very important to Paul, 1 Timothy 1:14, overflowed. For Paul, otherwise heresy will fill it. It is so abundant in Paul's life that it is strength to him. You see, when you lack clarity on what is going on in this gospel, when you talk about strength, you will talk as I did as a teenager, right? You will talk of it as this just subjective feeling, and you say, God's strength is enough for me, then you don't last. But when you know it to be this reality that has a cross, a mystery of godliness, a vindication by the Spirit, witnessed by angels, spoken of to the world, that rose up in glory to heaven, then you really have strength. Strength to, like this guy I really love, Epaphras Lee, who suffered for 9 years in Chinese prisons, and then was willing to do it again for the sake of the gospel, who walked through the snow, through mountain passes in cheap slippers, carrying his daughter to read the only Bible in the village next door. Yeah, through a mountain pass, 10 kilometers, every time he wanted to read the Bible. That was 80s, 70s, okay? That's strength. You think the strength came from his muscles, from him doing gym work? No, he's just really this poor farmer. You don't have that strength because you don't understand his gospel. You don't understand the threats you face. But if you have this strength, it's because you are overflowing with this grace of our Lord, 1 Timothy 1:14, that has clear definition. Otherwise, heresy will fill it because there is no such thing as an empty brain in church. There is no such thing as an empty brain. Even if it was empty, no such thing. I've never seen one. Eventually, it'll be filled anyway by the wrong thing. Remember, the devil is in church, huh? Okay? I'm not the devil. You're not the devil. But the devil, remember the parable of soils, is a bird waiting there just to eat up every seed that drops. So as I'm speaking to you, you're not filling, you're resisting. You're thinking, I don't want to listen to this. This is not important for me to listen to. Satan goes, this is wonderful. This is so good. It's just picking. That shouldn't happen to a Christian. What you have in the gospel is training that is enabled by the gospel for more godliness, which is of value in every way, 4 verse 8, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. So what you have in the gospel is powerful in that it keeps growing you, whereas what you have in these irreverent, silly myths and speculations, etc., produces more and more destruction. This is part of the pattern of describing the way in which churches and Christians and therefore individuals and corporate groups of God's people grow and continue to make it to heaven, versus the way in which opposition will continue to become more and more enraged and will fight against the church, but at the same time be more and more destroyed and self-destructive in the very things they do. You can think of a similar pattern you found, for instance, in chapter 1 of Romans, where in people's licentiousness and desires, they become further and further religiously committed to the very idolatry and paganism to which they started. And that's one way in which you can see today's, I would say, woke culture. I was listening a little bit to Joe Rogan on this, and he was pointing out some of the most religious people are the professed atheists who are very woke, but they're the most religious people. In other words, you see, it's always a negative or positive spiral in either direction. God never allows the singular narrow path to be just sitting alone. It is in direct correlation to the wider path. The wider path is a wide path. It will draw like a funnel, like a whirlpool, a vortex, all those who love the wrong teaching and heresy, and they will get swamped by it, and they will grow deeper and deeper into it. Give your friends 100 more years. Give them a few more million ringgit. Give them more of the life they want, and they will get deeper into it.